a waitress warned the millionaire about his friend. The next day, a black SUV appeared at his diner in a suspicious manner. She realized she had saved his life. Marcus Reynolds sat at his usual corner table in downtown diner, steam rising from his black coffee. The cracked leather booth squeaked as he shifted his weight. 6:45 a.m. Just like every morning for the past 8 years. Sarah Miller wiped down the counter, keeping one eye on the 3 men in dark suits at table 7. Their whispers didn't reach her, but James Harrison's tense shoulders and darting eyes told her enough. "Your usual Mr. Reynolds?" Sarah approached his table, order pad in hand. "Please, Sarah. And how many times do I have to tell you to call me Marcus?" He smiled, but the dark circles under his eyes betrayed his exhaustion. "At least once more, Mr. Reynolds." She returned the smile, scribbling his order. 2 eggs over easy, wheat toast, no butter. The bell above the door chimed. James Harrison walked in, his designer suit out of place among the worn Formica tables. Sarah's grip tightened on her pen as she watched him approach Marcus's table. "Marcus, didn't expect to see you here." James's voice carried across the diner, too loud for the quiet morning. "You know this is where I have breakfast every day, James." Marcus gestured to the empty seat across from him. Sarah retreated to the kitchen, but kept the service window open. The conversation drifted in fragments. "The Weber account, just need your signature." Routine procedure. Her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. A text from her brother at the accounting firm. "Tell him to check the offshore accounts. Something's wrong." The kitchen door swung open. "Order up." Tommy, the cook, called out. Sarah grabbed Marcus's plate, her hand trembling slightly. As she approached his table, James was already standing. "Think about what I said, Marcus. We need those signatures by tomorrow." James straightened his tie and headed for the door. Sarah set down the plate and pulled out her order pad. Instead of writing a new order, she quickly scrawled, "Your friend is not who you think. I heard something terrible. Be careful." Marcus's phone rang. He checked the screen, frowning. "Sarah, could you wrap this to go?" "Of course, Mr. Reynolds." She took the plate back, sliding the note under it in the kitchen. When she returned with his breakfast in a styrofoam container, she placed the folded note on top. "Have a good day, Mr. Reynolds." Marcus nodded, tucking both the container and the note into his briefcase. The bell chimed again as he left. Sarah watched through the window as a black SUV pulled away from the curb, following Marcus's silver Mercedes at a distance. In his car, Marcus hit the steering wheel. The call had been from their compliance officer, "Mr. Reynolds, we found some irregularities in the international transfers. All authorized by Amar Harrison." He reached into his briefcase for a tissue and found Sarah's note instead. His hands shook as he read it. The traffic light turned green. In his rearview mirror, the black SUV was still there. The phone rang again. James's name flashed on the screen. Marcus let it go to voicemail. The morning sun cast long shadows across the street as he drove toward his office, the weight of Sarah's note heavy in his pocket, and the SUV a constant presence 3 cars back. The security guard nodded as Marcus pulled into his reserved spot at Reynolds Enterprises. Through the tinted windows of his car, he watched the black SUV cruise past the building, slow down, then disappear around the corner. His secretary met him at the elevator. Reynolds, the board is waiting." Marcus straightened his tie, Sarah's note burning in his pocket. The day had barely begun, and already nothing would ever be the same. Marcus closed his office door behind him, the thick carpet muffling his footsteps. Financial reports covered his desk, each page marked with yellow sticky notes in his secretary's neat handwriting. "Rebecca," he called through the intercom, "get me everything on the Weber account. And I mean everything." "Right away, Mr. Reynolds." Her voice crackled through the speaker. "Also, Your wife's accident investigator called again. His stomach tightened. He walked to the window, watching the street below. The black SUV was back, parked across the street. His phone buzzed. A text from James. "We need to talk." "Lunch?" Marcus didn't reply. Instead, he opened the bottom drawer of his desk, pulling out a warm manila folder labeled Catherine Reynolds Accident Report. The photos hadn't gotten easier to look at. The crumpled Mercedes, the skid marks, the mechanical report showing brake failure, all ruled accidental. Rebecca knocked, entering with a stack of files. "The Weber documents, sir, and..." She hesitated. "Mr. Harrison is asking for authorization on several overseas transfers." "Deny them all." Marcus didn't look up from Catherine's file. "And Rebecca? Don't tell him I said that." "Say it's stuck in compliance." "Yes, sir." She paused at the door. "There's something else. That waitress from your breakfast place called. Said it's urgent." Marcus's head snapped up. "Sarah? Put her through if she calls again." He spread the Weber files across his desk. Numbers jumped out at him. Millions moving between accounts. Authorizations he'd never seen. James's signature everywhere. His phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Reynolds?" Sarah's voice was hushed. "I shouldn't be calling, but..." A crash in the background. "They're here. I have to." The line went dead. Marcus grabbed his coat. The elevator was too slow. He took the stairs 2 at a time, his dress shoes echoing in the stairwell. The black SUV was gone when he reached the street. His driver pulled up. "Downtown diner," Marcus ordered, climbing in. Yellow police tape crossed the diner's entrance. A young officer stopped him. "Sorry, sir. Crime scene." "What happened?" "Where's Sarah Miller?" The officer checked his notepad. "No Sarah Miller working here, sir. Place has been closed all morning." Marcus pushed past him into the diner. Sarah's order pad lay on the floor, a single sheet torn out. On the counter, her apron. "Sir, you need to leave." The officer grabbed his arm. Marcus's phone buzzed again. "James, where is she?" Marcus answered. "Where's who?" James's voice was smooth. "Listen, about those transfers. The signatures aren't coming, James." Marcus ended the call. Back at the office, Rebecca met him with more files. "Sir, these just came from accounting. You need to see this. Spreadsheets, bank statements, offshore accounts. All pointing to a massive fraud scheme. All leading back to James." His phone rang again. This time, an old friend from the police department. "Marcus? About Catherine's accident. We found something." Marcus sank into his chair. "Tell me." The brake lines weren't worn. They were cut. The office door opened. James walked in, smiling. "Ready for lunch?" Marcus looked at his oldest friend, his stomach churning. "Sorry, James. Got a lunch meeting." "No problem. Tomorrow then?" James's smile didn't reach his eyes. After James left, Marcus called his private investigator. "I need everything on James Harrison. Everything. Already on it," the investigator replied. "And Mr. Reynolds? Watch your back. That black SUV? It's registered to a shell company. Same one that paid for your wife's brake job last year." Marcus looked out his window again. The SUV was back. His phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Downtown diner. Midnight. Come alone." Yes, the sun set over Chicago's skyline, casting long shadows across Marcus's office. He opened his desk drawer, looking at the photo of him and James at the company's founding. 20 years of friendship. The intercom buzzed. "Sir?" Rebecca's voice shook. "Someone broke into your home office. The security company just called." Marcus stood, gathering the files. James's signature stared up at him from every page. The black SUV's engine started across the street. Downtown diner stood dark and empty, yellow police tape fluttering in the night wind. Marcus sat in his car, watching. 11:58 p.m. A figure emerged from the shadows. Not Sarah, tall or male. Marcus's hand tightened on his door handle. His phone lit up. Back door. Now, Marcus circled the building. Sarah stood in the doorway, her face half hidden in shadow. A bruise darkened her left cheek. Inside, she whispered, "Quick." The kitchen was cold, unused. Their footsteps echoed on the tile floor. "They came this morning," Sarah said, hands shaking as she pulled papers from her apron pocket. "Right after you left. James's men. Are you okay?" Marcus reached for the light switch. "Don't." Sarah grabbed his arm. "They're watching the diner. The man outside, he's with me. Private investigator. You hired a pie?" "My brother did. He worked in your accounting department." She pushed the papers into his hands. "James fired him yesterday, but not before he got these. Bank transfers, shell companies, email transcripts." Marcus squinted in the dim light. "There's more," Sarah said. "About your wife." Marcus's head snapped up. "What about Catherine?" A door creaked. Sarah froze. Footsteps in the dining room. "Back here," she whispered, pulling him toward the freezer. They pressed against the cold metal wall. The kitchen door swung open. Flashlight beams swept the room. "Clear," a voice called. Sarah's breath came in short gasps. Marcus could feel her trembling. The footsteps retreated. Sarah's pie appeared in the doorway, giving a thumbs up. "You need to go," Sarah said. "Take the papers. My number's in there, a new one. Secure line." "Sarah, why are you helping me?" She smiled sadly. "My father lost everything to men like James. Men who think money means they can take whatever they want." More footsteps. The pie gestured urgently. "Tomorrow," Sarah whispered. "Call me tomorrow." Marcus slipped out the back door, papers tucked inside his jacket. The black SUV was parked at the end of the alley. His phone buzzed. "James, board meeting tomorrow. 9 a.m. Don't be late." At home, Marcus spread Sarah's documents across his kitchen table. Emails between James and someone named KH, dating back to before Catherine's death. His hands shook as he read. KR becoming problem. Handle it. Rake job scheduled. Tuesday. Payment transferred. No traces. The doorbell rang. 3 a.m. Through the security camera, Marcus saw the pie from the diner. He opened the door. "Amar. Reynolds. Name's Mike. Got something you need to see." Mike handed him a USB drive. "Security footage from your wife's accident. Took some digging, but a car engine roared to life." The black SUV peeled away from the curb. Inside, Marcus pulled Mike through the door. "Show me." The laptop screen flickered. Grainy footage showed a mechanic shop. Catherine's Mercedes. A man in coveralls working on the brake lines. "Freeze it," Marcus said. There, the man's face turned toward the camera. "James." Marcus's phone rang. Sarah's new number. "Turn on the news," she said without greeting. Channel 5 breaking news. Local waitress found unconscious in downtown alley. Condition critical. The USB drive slipped from Marcus's hand. "Not me," Sarah said quickly. "They got the wrong one. Jenny from the afternoon shift. They're sending a message." Mike the Pie pulled out his phone, showing Marcus a photo. The black SUV parked outside James's house. "We've got him," Mike said, "but he's got friends on the board." "Tomorrow's meeting is a trap," Marcus finished. His security system beeped. Motion detected. "Back door." "They're here," he whispered into the phone. Sarah's voice was firm. "The papers I gave you. The blue folder. Read it now." Marcus pulled out the blue folder as footsteps approached his study. Inside, board member signatures, dozens of them, all revoking their proxies from James. How? Jenny wasn't the only one watching, Sarah said. We all were. Every waitress, every busboy. 2 years of recordings, Reynolds, everything. The study door opened. James stood there, gun in hand. "Hello, Marcus," he said. "We need to talk about tomorrow's meeting." Behind James, the red dot of a laser sight appeared on the wall. Mike's voice was steady. "Drop it, Mr. Harrison. Police are on their way." Blue lights flashed outside. Sirens wailed. James's gun clattered to the floor. Marcus's phone buzzed one last time. A text from Sarah. "See you at tomorrow's board meeting." Bringing breakfast. Marcus sat in his study. Dawn breaking over Chicago. The police had left hours ago, taking James with them. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing. Board members, reporters, lawyers. He stared at the files spread across his desk. Sarah's blue folder front and center. A knock at the door made him jump. "Mr. Reynolds?" Mike stepped in. "Got what you asked for." The pie laid out surveillance photos. James meeting with known criminals, offshore bankers, corrupt mechanics. "There's more," Mike said, pulling out his tablet. "Your ex-CFO wants to talk." "David?" Marcus frowned. He resigned 2 years ago, was forced out. By James, Mike played a video. David appeared, older, grayer. "Marcus, if you're seeing this, they finally got him. I've been gathering evidence since Catherine's accident." James didn't work alone. The board, some of them knew. Room 712, Palmer House Hotel. Midnight. "Come along." Marcus checked his watch. 10 p.m. His phone rang. "Sarah, don't go to the Palmer House," she said immediately. "It's a setup. How do you, my brother, track the video?" "It's fake. I generated." She paused. "But David is alive, and he does want to meet." "Where?" "Where it all started, 1 hour. The downtown diner's kitchen lights were on." David sat at the prep counter, sorting through papers. "You look like hell, Marcus." David stood, extending his hand. "You look worse." Marcus took it. "Why now?" "Because of her?" David nodded toward the door. Sarah entered, followed by a man in a business suit. "Meet my brother," she said, "former head of digital forensics at your company. Until James caught me looking into Catherine's accounts." Her brother added. David spread documents across the counter. Bank statements, board minutes, email chains. "James built a shadow company," he explained, "using your identity, your signatures. Every major project for the past 5 years, he skimmed millions. But why kill Catherine?" Sarah's brother opened his laptop. She found this single quotes email threads appeared. Catherine had discovered the fraud, had proof. "The break job wasn't the first attempt," David said quietly. "Just a successful one." Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Mike. "SUV spotted near diner. Moving fast. Back door." Sarah ordered. Now, they grabbed the files. Marcus's driver waited in the alley. "The Clarence Hotel," David said, climbing in. "I have a room. We'll be safe there." Sarah's brother's laptop pinged. They're accessing the company servers. Deleting everything. Not everything. Sarah pulled out a flash drive. "I've been backing up files for months. Every conversation in that diner, every meeting James had, headlights appeared behind him. The black SUV. Faster," Marcus told his driver. Sarah's phone lit up. Jenny's awake. She's talking to the police. The SUV swerved closer. "Take the next right," David shouted. There's a police station, a gunshot cracked. Their back window shattered. The driver took the corner hard. Police sirens wailed in the distance. "Almost there," he called. Marcus's phone rang. "The board chairman. Emergency meeting," the chairman said. 1 hour. Conference room. "It's 2, Marcus protested. James made bail. He's calling in favors. If we don't move now," another shot. The SUV rammed them from behind. They skidded into the hotel parking lot. Security guards rushed out. The SUV peeled away. Inside the hotel room, David connected Sarah's brother's laptop to the TV. Evidence filled the screen. James didn't just steal money, David explained. He sold company secrets. To competitors, foreign governments. Got it, Sarah's brother exclaimed. The deletion stopped. Servers locked down. Single quotes. Marcus's phone buzzed again. A message from James. Last chance. Walk away. Sarah handed Marcus a file. One more thing. The real reason Catherine was at that mechanic shop. Inside, receipts, photos. Catherine hadn't gone for a brake job. She'd gone to meet a whistleblower. The mechanic? Marcus asked. Sarah nodded. Found dead 2 days later. Accident. The board meeting, David said. We have 1 hour to put this together. Marcus looked at the evidence spread around them. 20 years of friendship. 2 years of murder. His phone lit up. Rebecca. Sir, the board is gathering. And? James is here. The elevator climbed to the top floor of Reynolds Enterprises. Each floor number a countdown to confrontation. Marcus stood flanked by David, Sarah, and her brother Tom. Remember, David murmured, we only get one shot at this. The doors opened. Through the glass walls of the conference room, Marcus saw James standing at the head of the table. Board members gathered around him. Rebecca intercepted them. Sir, they're voting to remove you as CEO. Not anymore. Marcus straightened his tie. Ready? Sarah nodded, clutching her flash drive. They pushed through the conference room doors. James's smile faltered. Marcus, we were just voting me out? Marcus dropped a stack of files on the table. Interesting timing, considering what's on these drives. The board chairman cleared his throat. Mr. Reynolds, this is a closed meeting. Perfect. Sarah stepped forward. Because what we're about to show, you shouldn't leave this room. Tom connected his laptop to the projector. The screen lit up with security footage from the downtown diner. James lunged for the laptop. David blocked him. Play it, Marcus ordered. The footage showed James, meeting after meeting, money changing hands, whispered conversations about Catherine. Turn it off, James demanded. Keep watching, Marcus told the board. This is where he orders my wife's murder. The color drained from James's face. The boardroom doors burst open. 2 men in suits entered. FBI, one announced, showing his badge. Nobody leave. James reached for his phone. Looking for this? Sarah held up James's cell phone. You dropped it at the diner 2 years ago. Never got around to returning it. The second FBI agent placed a hand on James's shoulder. Mr. Harrison, we have some questions. They're lying. James pointed at Sarah. She's just a waitress. A waitress who recorded everything. Tom played another video. James at the diner, planning Catherine's accident. The board chairman stood. I move to reinstate Marcus Reynolds as CEO, effective immediately. Second, another member called. James shrugged off the FBI agent's hand. You're making a mistake, all of you. The things I know are all right here. David opened his briefcase. Every account, every deal, every murder. James bolted for the door. Security guards blocked his path. One more thing, Sarah said, inserting her flash drive. This came from Jenny, the waitress your men put in the hospital. New footage played. James ordering the attack. The FBI agents moved forward, handcuffs out. You're under arrest, Mr. Harrison. James turned to Marcus. 20 years of friendship. Worth nothing? Catherine was worth everything, Marcus replied. As the agents led James away, the board chairman approached Marcus. The vote is unanimous. The company is yours again. Marcus shook his head. Not mine. Ours. He gestured to David. Meet your new CFO. Sarah's phone buzzed. Jenny's being released from the hospital. Good. Marcus faced the board. Because we're establishing a whistleblower protection program, starting with full college scholarships for Jenny's kids. Sir, Rebecca appeared at the door. Police need statements from everyone. Outside the conference room, dawn broke over Chicago. The black SUV was being towed away, FBI agents combing through it. Marcus's phone rang. The district attorney. We're reopening Catherine's case, she said. With this evidence, we can charge James with first-degree murder. Sarah touched Marcus's arm. There's something else you need to see. She led him to his old office. On his desk lay a single piece of paper. Catherine's last note found in the mechanic's shop. Marcus, if you're reading this, I have proof. James is stealing everything. Don't trust. The note ended there. Marcus sank into his chair. How did you get this? The mechanic's daughter, Sarah said. She works the night shift at the diner. She's been waiting for the right moment. Through the window, Marcus watched James being loaded into an FBI vehicle. His phone buzzed one last time. A text from an unknown number. Justice for Catherine. Finally, yes. The sun rose higher, casting long shadows across the city. In the distance, sirens wailed. The downtown courthouse hummed with tension. Marcus sat in the front row, Sarah and David flanking him. James, in an orange jumpsuit, stared straight ahead. All rise, the bailiff called. Judge Martinez entered. Glasses perched on her nose. The state versus James Harrison. How does the defendant plead? James's lawyer stood. Not guilty, Your Honor. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Marcus felt Sarah tense beside him. Save it, the prosecutor interrupted, approaching the bench. We have a development, M.R. Harrison wants to make a deal. Marcus leaned forward. James hadn't looked back once. Your Honor, James's lawyer continued. My client has information about other parties involved. The prosecutor placed a folder before the judge. Names, board members who knew, who helped. Judge Martinez frowned. Approach. As the lawyers huddled at the bench, Tom slipped into the courtroom, laptop under his arm. Marcus, he whispered. The SUV driver talked. You need to see this. The judge's gavel cracked. Court is in recess. 1 hour. In a side room, Tom opened his laptop. Security footage played. The night of Catherine's accident. Not just James at the mechanic's shop, 3 board members. They were all there, Tom said. Watching. Marcus's hands clenched. Names? Peterson? Williams? Chun? The same ones voting to remove you, Sarah added. David's phone buzzed. FBI just picked up Peterson. At the airport, the courthouse doors burst open. Jenny limped in, still bruised but standing. They threatened my kids, she announced. I have proof. The prosecutor appeared. My office. Now, in the DA's office, Jenny played a voicemail. Williams's voice. Keep quiet or your children disappear. When? The prosecutor demanded. Last night, after James was arrested, Marcus's phone lit up. A text from Chun. Meeting. Now. Your office. Come alone. Sarah grabbed his arm. No. Yes. Marcus stood. End this. All of it. The drive to Reynolds Enterprises was silent. FBI agents followed in unmarked cars. Chum waited in Marcus's office, standing at the window. It was business, he said without turning. Nothing personal. Catherine was personal. She wouldn't listen. Chum sighed. Like you won't listen. To what? Reason. Chum turned, gun raised. The door opened. Williams walked in. Drop it, Williams ordered, pointing his gun at Chun. Chun's hand shook. You said I said a lot of things. Williams smiled. Like I said to James. Like I said to Catherine. FBI. Freeze. Agents poured in. Chun dropped his gun. Williams fired. Glass shattered. Chun fell. More shots. Williams dropped. Marcus ducked behind his desk as bullets flew. Sarah screamed from the hallway. Then silence. Clear. An agent called. Marcus stood. Chum lay motionless by the window. Williams, handcuffed, bled from his shoulder. Sarah rushed in. Peterson confessed. Everything. The whole plan. Marcus's phone rang. The dia. Turn on the news, she said. Every channel showed the same headline. Corporate conspiracy exposed. Multiple arrests in Reynolds murder. James appeared on screen, being led to a police car. His eyes met the camera. I'm sorry, Marcus, he said. I'm so sorry. Back in the courthouse, Judge Martinez reviewed the new evidence. Given these developments, she declared, bail is revoked for all defendants. Outside, reporters swarmed. M.R. Reynolds. A statement? Marcus faced the cameras. Justice delayed is still justice. For Catherine. For everyone they hurt. Sarah took his arm. Jenny's kids are safe. Witness protection. David appeared with more files. The money trail. All of it. Every account. Marcus nodded. Return it. All of it. Set up a victims fund. His phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Sir, the board is waiting. Again. In the conference room, the remaining board members sat silent. Marcus took his seat at the head of the table. Changes start today. Sarah stood by the door. A new security badge clipped to her suit. Director of Corporate Ethics. First order, Marcus announced. Full disclosure. Every account, every decision. David distributed folders. New compliance protocols. Second order, Marcus pointed to the empty seats. Fill these positions from within. People who earned it. Tom raised his hand. Security footage, all of it, goes to a third party. Approved. Marcus's phone lit up. A final text from James. You won. Take care of them. The ones I heard. Single quotes outside. The city continued. The downtown diner reopened under new management. Jenny's kids played in the park, protected. And in Marcus's office, Catherine's photo watched over a company reborn. Rain pelted the courthouse windows as James took the stand. 3 months had passed since his arrest, each day revealing new layers of corruption. Mr. Harrison, the prosecutor began. Tell us about October 15th. James gripped the microphone. That's the day Catherine died. And you were where? The mechanic shop. James's voice cracked. I watched them cut the brake lines. Marcus leaned forward in his seat. Sarah squeezed his hand. Under whose orders? Williams. James stared at his former colleague. He said she knew too much. Williams's lawyer jumped up. Objection. Overruled. Judge Martinez snapped. Continue. She had proof, James continued. Documents, recordings, about the money we were moving through shell companies. How much money? Billions. James looked at Marcus. We took everything. The courtroom erupted. Judge Martinez banged her gavel. Order. Marcus's phone buzzed. A message from David. Found the accounts. All of them. Outside, rain turned to sleet. The downtown diner's lights glowed through the storm. Coffee? Sarah asked during recess. They sat in Marcus's usual booth. Jenny served them, her limp barely noticeable now. The kids started school today, Jenny said, pouring coffee. New names. New life. Marcus nodded. The fund will cover everything. Single quotes. His phone lit up. Tom's face appeared on screen. Marcus, we found something. In Catherine's old files. What? A video. Made the day she died. Marcus's coffee cup clattered. Where? Hidden drive. Behind a panel in your home office. The one they broke into. Sarah was already standing. Let's go. The drive home was tense. FBI agents followed, lights off. Marcus's hand shook as he pried open the panel. A small USB drive fell into his palm. Catherine's face filled his laptop screen. She looked tired, worried. "Marcus, if you're watching this, I'm probably dead. James isn't working alone. The board, most of them, they're all involved. I have proof. It's at the diner with the video cut off." Sarah's phone rang. "Yes? What? When?" She turned to Marcus. "They found the mechanic's body, hidden in a storage unit, with more evidence." Back at the courthouse, the prosecutor presented the new findings. "Your Honor, we have DNA evidence linking 3 more board members to the murder." Williams stood up. "I want to change my plea." His lawyer grabbed his arm. Williams shoved him away. "Guilty," he announced, "to all of it. And I can prove the others did it too. Single quotes. Judge Martinez leaned forward. "Proceed." For 2 hours, Williams detailed everything. Names, account numbers. Marcus watched as more arrests were made. Board members let out in handcuffs. His phone buzzed. A text from James's cell. Catherine's last words. "Take care of Marcus. I failed her." "Failed you both?" Sarah touched his arm. "There's more." In the evidence room, Detective Johnson laid out documents. "Catherine wasn't their first victim," he explained. "We found records going back 10 years. How many?" "Dozens. Whistleblowers, journalists, anyone who got close." Marcus sank into a chair. "All this time, but we got them," Sarah said firmly. "All of them." His phone rang. "David, the victim's fund is set up," he reported. "First payment's going out tomorrow." Outside, the storm had passed. The downtown diner's neon sign reflected in puddles. Marcus stared at Catherine's photo on his desk. She knew. "She tried to warn me, and now everyone knows the truth," Sarah said. The intercom buzzed. Rebecca's voice. "Sir?" "The new board members are here." Marcus straightened his tie. Time to rebuild. The new boardroom felt different. Gone were the mahogany walls and leather chairs. Glass and steel spoke of transparency. Marcus stood at the head of the table, facing fresh faces. Former mid-level managers, people who'd earned their spots. "First order of business," he announced. "The Whistleblower Protection Program." Sarah stepped forward, no longer in her waitress uniform, but a tailored suit. "Every employee gets a direct line," she explained. "Anonymous reporting. Guaranteed protection. Like what Catherine should have had." Someone murmured. Marcus nodded. "Exactly." His phone buzzed. A text from James's prosecutor. "He's ready to see you." The prison visiting room was cold. James sat behind glass, orange jumpsuit hanging loose on his frame. "You came," he said through the phone. "Why did you ask for me?" James pulled out a worn envelope. "Found this in my cell. Don't know how it got there. A guard passed it through." Catherine's handwriting covered the front. "For Marcus, if I don't make it." Marcus's hand shook as he opened it. "Dear Marcus," he read. "If you're reading this, trust Sarah. She's been watching, recording. James isn't the mastermind. Look deeper." His phone lit up. Tom's face appeared. "Marcus, we traced the money. All the way back. It wasn't James who started this." "Who?" "Check your father's old files." The storage facility was dusty. Box after box of Reynolds Enterprises history. Sarah held the flashlight as Marcus dug through papers. "Here," he said, pulling out a ledger. "Dad's private accounts." The names jumped out. Board members' fathers. A legacy of corruption. "They groomed them," Sarah whispered. "Raised them to take over." Marcus's phone rang. "David, the victim's fund," he said. "Some of these families go back 30 years." Back at the office, Jenny waited with more files. "The mechanic?" she said. "His father worked for your dad. Died in a car accident too." Marcus spread the documents across his desk. A pattern emerged. "Every generation," he muttered. "They recruited their own children." Sarah's phone buzzed. "The FBI found more bodies. Cold cases, now solved. The downtown diner was quiet. Marcus sat in his usual booth, files surrounding him. "Your father tried to stop it," Jenny said, pouring coffee. "That's what got him killed." Marcus looked up. "What? My father worked here too. Heard things. Saw things." She paused. "The night your father died? Not a heart attack." His phone lit up. An email from 30 years ago, recovered from backup tapes. "Marcus," his father wrote, "if you're reading this, I failed. They're too strong, but there's a way." The evidence is in the email cut off. Sarah burst in. "Marcus, the old board members, they're all dead." "What?" "Prison. All of them. Same time. Like it was coordinated." Marcus's phone rang. "The FBI. There's a new player," the agent said. "Someone cleaning house." Back at Reynolds Enterprises, Marcus called an emergency meeting. "Lock down everything," he ordered. "Every file, every account." David rushed in. Too late. Systems are compromised. Screens went dark across the building. Then one message appeared. Like father, like son. Some secrets should stay buried. Marcus's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Downtown diner. Midnight. Answers. Sarah grabbed his arm. "It's a trap." "I know." He stood. "That's why we'll be ready." The downtown diner stood dark against the midnight sky. FBI agents hidden in shadows, SWAT teams on nearby roofs. "Ready?" Sarah whispered through Marcus's earpiece. He adjusted his wire. No choice. The bell chimed as he entered. One figure sat in his usual booth. "Hello?" Marcus dot single quotes. He froze. "That voice, Mom?" Eleanor Reynolds looked up from her coffee cup. "Sit." Marcus slid into the booth. His mother hadn't aged a day since disappearing 15 years ago. "You're dead," he said. "The plane crash was necessary." She sipped her coffee. "Just like Catherine's accident." His earpiece crackled. Sarah's sharp intake of breath. "Why? The company was never meant for you." Eleanor's voice hardened. "Your father broke the agreement. He chose you over tradition." Single quotes. Marcus's phone buzzed. Tom's message. "System breach traced." "It's coming from inside the diner." "The other families," Marcus said. "Their children. You controlled it all. For generations." Eleanor set down her cup. "Until your father grew a conscience." Blue lights flashed outside. Eleanor didn't flinch. "Those board members in prison," Marcus said. "You killed them." "Loose ends." She pulled out a laptop. "Like these." His father's old files appeared on screen. "Evidence. Names. Dates. One click," Eleanor said. "It all goes public. The empire burns." Sarah's voice in his ear. "Stall her. Almost there. What do you want?" "Step down. Let the right family take control." Eleanor smiled. "James's son is ready." Marcus's phone lit up. A photo from Tom. James's visitor log. "Eleanor, every week." "You raised him for this," Marcus realized. "Groomed him. Like I should have groomed you." She reached for his hand. "It's not too late." The diner's lights flickered on. Sarah stood at the switch. "Mrs. Reynolds," she said. "Or should I say, Mrs. Harrison?" Eleanor's smile faltered. "James's real mother." Sarah continued. "The marriage certificate was hidden well." FBI agents poured in. Eleanor's hand moved to her purse. "Don't," Marcus warned. "You're just like your father." She spat. "Too weak to do what's necessary." Her finger clicked the laptop. Nothing happened. Tom appeared, holding a drive. "Looking for this." "The real files?" Eleanor lunged. A gun flashed. "Down!" Sarah tackled Marcus. Shots rang out. Glass shattered. When the smoke cleared, Eleanor lay handcuffed, shoulder bleeding. Like mother, like son, she sneered at Marcus. "James failed. Just like you'll fail." Marcus's phone rang. The prosecutor. We got them all, she said. Every conspirator, every killer, past and present. Dawn broke over Chicago. The downtown diner's windows, now boarded up, would need replacing. What now? Sarah asked, sitting in Marcus's office. He looked at the photos on his desk. His father, Catherine, 2 generations of victims. We rebuild, he said. The right way. His phone buzzed. A message from James. I'm sorry. For everything. She fooled us both. The new board gathered one last time. Marcus stood at the head of the table. From today, he announced, Reynolds Enterprises has one mission. Making things right. Sarah presented the first checks from the victims' fund. Jenny's kids' college funds. The mechanic's family's compensation. David brought in the new corporate charter. Transparency. Accountability. Protection. Marcus's phone lit up. A final text from an unknown number. Your father would be proud. K. He looked out over the city. The downtown diner's sign still stood, a reminder. Ready for breakfast? Sarah asked. Marcus smiled. Same booth? Same booth. Different story. The morning sun rose over Chicago, casting new shadows, bringing new light. If you enjoyed this story, we'd love for you to support us by leaving a like and subscribing to our Slices of Life channel. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which city are you talking about? It's very rewarding for us to provide our followers with an enjoyable moment. We appreciate the unconditional support you show us in every story. Blessings!